I'm Jess.
I'm Mandy.
And we are drama bonded. Today, we are going to talk about
Vanderpump Rules. And, well, actually, we're not talking about Vanderpump Rules because it hasn't happened yet. No, we are.
Yeah, we totally are. But we're talking about, despite being completely full of shit.
Yeah, we lied.
We have absolutely listened to all of Rachel's podcast thus far.
Well, I didn't finish the third episode, but I listened to episode 2 and part of 3.
Okay. I finished episode 3, and you and I have feelings.
Very different takes, which is good. It's good for us to have different takes. So we're going to talk about Rachel's podcast, and then we're also going to talk about what we hope to see on season 11.
Yeah, which starts next week.
So excited.
Very excited. And then we'll finish up with episode 1 of Joey's season, The Bachelor, talk about maybe some of the more interesting entrances and our top 4 women for the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to start us off with the dialogue about Rachel's latest episode?
No, you start.
Okay. That's totally fair. So the TLDR is she got a lot of feedback, which I think the same feedback that Mandy and I had, which was she was smiling and laughing through some things where you're just like, this does not make sense to be so flippant or giddy about, particularly like when she cheated with Tom or that moment that happened, things with Graham, her dog. And so her response to that was to bring on a
I think we need to talk about the second episode first, too.
Okay.
Because there's like a lot of stuff about Vanderpump Rules that came up in that episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is escaping me. So give me the rundown on that, and then I will pick back up on where we're at with episode 3.
Yeah. So episode 3 was totally different than episodes 1 and 2. So you already know our feelings on episode 1. And then episode 2, she starts by talking about the trailer for the show.
Yes.
And so I was kind of already in this space of like, okay, she is going to recap the show. If she's like talking through the trailer and like what she's seeing in the trailer, she's probably going to, even if not recap on the show, she's going to like comment on the show. And so that's a tidbit of information. And then she kind of went into the whole, like how she went into season 10 wanting a storyline. And that's why she went on that date with Peter.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff was really insightful. Because apparently her and Peter actually did go on a real date before the show started filming.
And she didn't like it. It just wasn't her jam. But then production said she needed to go on a date again and they needed to film it. So
yeah.
She, in order to stay on the show or to stay relevant, like, and that was kind of a cool behind the scenes take, because she also then explained that every character or every person on this show is also in the process of trying to develop what their storyline will be.
Yeah, and how much they have to kind of go outside of what they actually would want to do to maintain a relevant storyline.
Absolutely. And she broke down the kiss with Tom Schwartz in Mexico and how, you know, that was really heavily produced or heavy-handed by the producers.
What did you think about that? I have some takes on that.
Honestly, I was just surprised that she was willing to open up about that, because she said that she wouldn't talk about that kind of stuff, and then she did. So I was just excited to get a little insight into, even though it is reality TV, there are obviously, you know, people are pushing the show in a particular direction. Right. And so that to me stuck with me more than, I guess, my thoughts on the thing itself.
So obviously the producers were pushing it because, you know, there was all that back and forth of like Sheena suggesting that Tom and Raquel should just make out. Sorry, Rachel. That's hard for me sometimes. And Katie was mad about it. And there's all of that drama. So the producers are pushing it because they know this has been kind of a storyline in the show, right? And Raquel even asked Tom if he wants to make out at that one like music event they are at earlier in the season. And so the way that she recaps it, she's basically saying, like, I was never really into Schwartz. They just really wanted to make this happen. Well, Tom asked me if I would kiss him, and then we just kissed.
Right. And she was saying the reason that she asked him at that music festival was because there had been a lot of rumors about her making out with Schwartz at another location. And so when she initially approached Tom Schwartz about that, it was more just sort of like in jest of like, everybody already thinks it happened.
Yeah.
We could just do this and this can be a plot point going forward. And he at that moment wasn't into it.
Yeah.
But then she feels like he sort of on the back end was coerced is maybe too strong of a word, but somebody like lightly pushed him in that direction to reconsider
supposedly
making out.
Tom Sandoval. So basically what ends up happening is Tom and Raquel are having an affair, and one of their safe spaces is at Tom Schwartz's house. So we know that Tom Schwartz has known the entire time. And because Tom Schwartz is like on the ends of the affair, I think Tom Sandoval was like, yeah, you should like definitely kiss her because that's providing distraction from what's really going on with Tom Sandoval and Raquel. And whether all of that's true or not, you know, like I actually do believe that that probably is what happened. But, you know, Raquel was also a player in the game. So on the one hand, I was excited that she finally acknowledged that Tom Sandoval was like manipulating the situation to like hide the affair. That was like one of the first like, hey, she threw us a bone about Sandoval. But I also think like it was benefiting her in that capacity as well.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a totally valid take on that. Yeah, I hadn't given that whole thing as much thought as you just did. So,
well, I mean, I guess I'm just looking for any sorts of like feelings and truths around the affair during filming. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And kind of figuring out like how was she feeling when all of that was going on? Like what were the conversations between her and Tom? Like how are they navigating all of this in that group of friends? Like I think it's pretty crazy that Schwartz's apartment was like a safe space for them, and he was just like allowing them to just be a couple like that in front of him. And I guess on her podcast, she said that Schwartz was always telling Sandoval that he needed to come clean. And while that's nice, like obviously that didn't end up happening. So it's hard not to have this feeling of like, well, even if Schwartz was saying one thing, he was not really doing anything to.
Yeah, he was being his usual
Yeah, he was
self.
just being compliant with what was going on. And I mean, on the one hand, I don't know, it's not Schwartz's job to like tell anyone, but I also think that Schwartz is also not a very direct or he's not a very capable person when it comes to like holding people accountable. And if you watch the show, there's like a boys club where they just protect everybody. And so it's hard for me not to believe that even though he was saying one thing, his actions were just to protect Tom Sandoval.
Yeah, that's a key thing in the Tom-Jax relationship throughout all of the seasons. And, you know, yeah, it's not Schwartz's job to out anybody, to call attention to it, but he definitely could have laid the boundary of like, this will not be happening in my apartment. Sorry.
Yeah,
Period.
exactly.
End of
boundaries.
Story. Like,
don't support it.
Yeah, don't be an enabler of it. And I think that would have been more than enough. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, now we can get on to episode 3. Sorry, I just was like wanted to talk about.
No, I'm so glad you did. Sometimes it's funny what sticks with us and what just sort of goes out, you know, in one ear out the other. And episode 2 for me was mostly that. I don't know what I was doing when listening, but anyway, Rachel brings on a clinical psychologist in episode 3 to discuss the feedback that Rachel received of she's smiling and laughing and it feels really uncomfortable for everybody listening because it did feel really uncomfortable. It's like none of this is laughable.
And or sometimes watching on the show.
Yeah. And Mans and I have different takes on this, and I want to preface this entire conversation with, I think when you have a public figure who is doing something like this publicly, it's okay to have your opinions on it. And these are just our opinions. We don't know Rachel, and our opinions are shaped by our own experiences. So we're just going to give you our takes on the perception of this episode. And for me, I think this was really disarming, and I guess props to Rachel that this was a good way to settle some of the outrage over the way that she was talking. by having this clinical psychologist come on, who I think did a really good job explaining why people's response to hard situations is to laugh or smile. And for me, I think what I really appreciate about this is, after I lost my dad, I really struggled in therapy to come to grips with a lot of things and take accountability for my own actions. And I sort of just had to every day show up and I meet myself where I was at, and it was messy. And there were things that I needed to take accountability for, but did not have the ability to do that in that moment. And so for me, watching Rachel address this rather than take accountability for the harm to Ariana made a little bit of sense to me, even if it's messy and it is sort of like, well, why are you doing this? This feels like a way of centering yourself. But her process initially to me does have to center herself. Like if she does not sort her own shit out first, she's never going to be able to look outward and give a heartfelt apology and do the work to build back. Not even build back. I don't know if she can have a relationship with these people, but to actually take accountability for the harm and apologize for that. So for me, I'm here for the messiness. I feel like it was a reflection of some of my own therapy sessions. And we don't know if she is doing therapy outside of this. I assume she is, but we don't know. So I just felt like it was a good way to have a conversation around an anxiety response. So for me, this was a little bit of a win. But I know Mandy does not feel that.
I don't think it was a win. I think I'm just struggling with everything at once. It's like, okay, what if this was a podcast just about Rachel's process of healing? Like that to me could be a concept that I could get behind.
Okay.
I still kind of struggle with that a little bit just because I was telling Jess, like, I feel like you listen and respond to things differently when you're on a podcast because you have an audience of people listening than you would if you were one-on-one with a therapist. So it's hard for me to believe that she's maybe getting completely what she would need to be getting out of, this discussion with this, is it a psychotherapist?
She was just a clinical psychologist.
It's hard for me to believe that maybe she was getting what she could out of this conversation if she hadn't had a mic and headphones on, Like, I think this is a super valuable conversation. I understand why she addressed it on the podcast because of the feedback she was getting. But I guess my issue with it is it's obvious that Rachel is still in her process, and it's totally understandable that that process is messy. I can relate to that in my own way. I've been in therapy for years, and some of the stuff that I'm working on with my family and creating boundaries there is so hard and so messy, and I make mistakes all the time. And so, of course, I want to give her grace while she's like processing everything and learning and healing. But I also struggle giving that grace when she is when there's a parallel of her also, talking about the show, recapping the show, talking about the trailer, going to talk about season 11. And so it's like, how do we invest in the process when she's still waist deep in the mess willingly? And so I think that that's something that I'm trying to understand is like, I don't really know what this podcast is. Is it just like Rachel feels a need to stay relevant and ride the wave of the timing, which on the one hand totally makes sense. But on the other hand, it's like,
are you questioning sort of the genuineness
of it?
Like
what I don't understand necessarily what is the intention behind the podcast? What are we supposed to be getting out of it? How is this benefiting Rachel? Is it hurting Rachel? Like, I guess I just don't really know where she's taking us.
That's totally fair. And I just want to point out, I think your organizational brain of calling out that there doesn't seem to be a direction for the podcast. Yes, that is
clear. What's the concept?
Right.
What is the story? What problem are we solving?
Give us a summary. Why are we listening? Yeah, there's not that. And then the added element of her insisting on talking about season 11 and the trailer in conjunction with doing the healing. It sort of does it leaves the door open for some suspicion as to what her true motivation is here.
Yeah, because if she was prioritizing healing, maybe she would wait a couple seasons to talk about the show. I don't know.
I guess my take on that, the only thing that I can say for that is I look back on some of the things that I went through and did, and I was like, oof, yeah, maybe not my best move, but in the moment, I was like working with what I had. And I think that comes with age. I think that comes with experience, and we'll see how she grows and changes over time. And if she doesn't, I think that that's a pretty clear indication of her motivations here. But there's also a possibility that, we really are just genuinely watching somebody go through the mess of it. And hopefully she does learn and grow, but maybe she won't.
Yeah, I think something I'm also struggling with is there's been this consistent underlying theme of Rachel kind of acting or creating this victim theme where it's like, oh, I'm covering up hard things with smiling and laughing because I have anxiety, when it's like, okay, but why do you have anxiety?
I actually...
Let's talk about that too.
Well, and she does touch on that, the abusive relationship with James. And then, her backstory is fascinating, that her mom had her sister and then had her, but didn't want to keep Rachel. And so Rachel ended up being adopted by an aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, that's a lot. And so while I understand sort of like not wanting her to situate herself as the victim, I think this is a case of two things can be true. I think she is the perpetrator of a lot of harm, a lot of thoughtlessness, and absolutely needs to be held accountable for that. And I think it's also true that she is a human being who's experienced some incredibly hard things and as a result has made some very bad decisions. And it doesn't make sense to me because I don't know what it's like to be her, but in my mind, I can see why she also deserves space to acknowledge the things that she's working against and why she made the decisions that she made. And I think it's a case of like two things can be true, and it's a hard balance to strike, being genuine to yourself and your own experiences while also taking accountability for your responses having the impact that they have.
Yeah, and I think this kind of goes back to the lack of accountability is like linked to the victim theme. And so I think she has to do the work to kind of get out of the, like, yes, I understand she's had a hard life and all of those things. I'm not trying to.
And no, yeah, not to say that that's also an excuse, just like an understanding.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to discount those truths, but also I think that's where she needs to grow. Like that's where she needs to do the work, is realize like how her actions have impacted other people and like how she talks about those things and how there's so much power and freedom into being able to like acknowledge that and grow from that. And so that's like more so where I'm coming with the victim talk. And I relate a lot to this problem actually, where people aren't able to see past the end of their noses and how like even the way they're hurting themselves and making themselves a victim is like limiting their experiences with other people because they're not even able to take into consideration how someone else could feel based on their actions. And so I just, I hope she is able to do the work and grow and like lean into that, because I think you're way more capable of having real relationships when you're able to unlock that ability.
Yeah. So I think maybe where we're like not fully lined up and like how we feel about this is you want her to be doing this work behind closed doors and only then to come forward once she has herself figured out. So forward facing, she's able to really address things directly with Tom rather than dealing with her own shit right now. And I sort of feel like I'm here to witness the whole mess that is this. And I agree with you. Like, I know that like she can't take accountability until she does this work. And it is a question of like, because of how public the affair became, how, just the nature of the beast, should she be doing this part publicly? Like, does she have a right to be in this position and gaining sympathy from the public?
I think it's two-part. I think that is true. I just want to say, like, okay, if she is going to involve us in this healing process, I think that the podcast should just be about that And then maybe that in and of itself morphs into her talking to other people who are doing like going through their own healing process, or, can relate to other celebrities who have been involved in scandal. And I don't know, I think that's a cool gateway to a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Or she doesn't include us in the process and she just talks about pop culture and Vanderpump Rules and stays relevant in that space, which okay. But I think it's the two together to me don't seem like they make sense. I don't know how you heal and continue talking about the show at the same time. But also, I will admit that I think that she should just work on herself and not talk about the show. And I think she should just take the space to do that and then come in strong and awesome. And then, what does Rachel want to do with her life? Let's make a podcast about she's going to be a Pilates instructor and she's going to help girls who have pageant trauma. And she's going to, I don't know, I guess I hate for her to stay rooted in this space that's preventing her from healing, but then also talking about healing. I don't know.
No, that's all really fair. Time will tell. I guess I'm tuning into her episode, so we'll probably.
Yeah, I guess we're listening now.
So full of shit. Never believe me when I say that I'm not.
Jess, it was late. It wasn't that late at night, but it was 9:00 at night, and Jess was so I have to admit that I'm listening to Rachel's podcast, and I was I already listened to it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm glad we're on the same page with that. Just we had no self-control.
Should we talk about what we want to see in season 11?
Let's do that.
Starting next Wednesday.
Oh, it cannot get here fast enough, though. I kind of need the weekend, so I'm not going to wish it away. But
what are some of your hot takes on the trailer?
I love. Listen, hot take. Ariana is not my favorite person, and she hasn't been from the get-go. And so she weaves in and out. I feel like she's maybe one of the more normal people on the show where I'm okay. But also she does some things where I'm just as the normal person, I feel like you should know better. So I'm so curious if the drama about her, was it Lala that made the comment about she thinks she's God?
Oh, it's I've never seen someone get cheated on and then become God.
Yeah, that was it. I'm whoa, is that going to be a big storyline, or is that just I love that take, but I wonder if it's a dramatic take or if it's just drunkenly.
Well, she's not drunk because she's sober.
Oh, that's right. Way to go, Lala. She's been sober for a very long time. You're right.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think it was probably a moment of extreme truth. I also think Lala loves to bring in the hot one-liners, but I also think that Scandoval really took away from all of Lala's drama, and Lala went through a shit ton, and it was very outshone by Scandoval.
That is a very good point, especially, how contentious, she's going to court over everything with Randall. It really was messy, and she has not come out on top the way that Ariana has.
Yeah, and so while I think that Lala, obviously supports Ariana as a friend and wants her to succeed and be in a better place and all of that, I also think it can also be true that she resents the timing of everything, where she maybe needed more support and more of a storyline than she was able to have because of Scandoval.
There you go. That's a very good call to the parallels there. I like that. Yeah, so I'm just curious to see how that plays out. I'm always excited for Sheena to just be an asshole and get everything wrong. So I should review some typical Sheena behavior and make my bingo card and just see how far I get.
Well, it's what they're alluding to is that Sheena seems to be maybe the first one that goes back to being friends with Tom Sandoval.
Ugh, not even surprised by that. There was some rumbling. She was standing next to Tom Sandoval in a photo, and she was defending it, saying that it was a fan that had asked. So, of course, she did it. But again, have a spine. Don't stand next to him. I don't know.
Well, the theme in Vanderpump Rules is that Sheena just wants to be liked by everybody and has a hard time, taking sides.
This is what I say about Chewy, my golden doodle, all the time, is a friend to all is a friend to none. So if that dog likes you, and my dog, like really, if Chewy likes you, it means nothing. Sorry, he likes everybody. And similarly with Sheena, it's sort of just like, it doesn't mean anything because she is so willing to just let bygones be bygones. She doesn't have any sort of moral compass, it seems. She's just in it to be liked.
Well, and I think this was another part of the trailer where she says, like, you don't know how hard all of this was on me. That's like such a Sheena moment where she's making it about herself. And like obviously when you're really close friends with someone and they end up going through this, it does impact you. Like that is true. But like Sheena has tried to make this about her like multiple times.
She really
there
has.
was like the punch thing and then the legal, the alleged punch.
I'm gonna give my take. I definitely think Sheena punched her. And when Sheena was trying to explain how she couldn't have done it because of her nails, but then Sheena made like a really stupid fist and her little thumbnail and the mark on Raquel's eyebrow, I was like, you know what? I definitely think
she got
punched
a thumbnail to the head.
I definitely think that Sheena punched Rachel. And I don't want to litigate whether or not that was a good response or not. But anyway.
I don't know. Sheena just has a way of slightly making it more about her than the other cast members do, which is just very on brand. Okay, so what do we want to see on season 11? I'm interested in seeing Jax come back and have a conversation with Lisa Vanderpump.
He looks rough.
I'm just, and he's getting his own show.
Right, which, I mean, maybe that's our next show.
The Valley? Yeah, Rachel Lindsay was talking about it.
Oh, yeah?
And I guess that all of these people are like real friends of Jax and Brittany's that live in the Valley.
Okay.
So who knows? But the reason why I think Vanderpump Rules was partially such a success was that all of these people were actually friends and kind of intertwined in each other's lives. And so, if that's the case, maybe it will start off strong because all of these cast members already have relationships.
Yeah, you really hit the ground running with Vanderpump Rules and all of their connections. Like Tom and Kristen had been in a relationship for the long time. Schwartz being involved in all of that. Yeah, absolutely. I have mixed feelings. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I have low expectations for any new release when it comes to Bravo, but some of them end up being winners, so we'll just see.
Yeah. What else am I looking forward to or hoping to see in season 11? I don't know. I am just deeply, deeply curious how the season goes for Ariana in comparison with everybody else. Like, she truly has so much going on. I can't move past it. That's just...
How are they going to film? I'm interested to see how they strike the balance of filming with the Toms versus, like, the rest of the cast. And, like, there's that beach scene where James is like, here's the line in the sand. This part's Ariana's beach. And so, like, they're obviously going to have social gatherings where I think everyone is sharing a space. And it doesn't really matter because Ariana and Tom are still living together. But it'll be interesting to see how those dynamics play out because obviously I think those are very force-produced social moments. They're not just all, like, going to the beach to hang out.
Yeah, that is a really interesting thought because the one theme throughout all of the seasons of Vanderpump has been these people are awful. Like, nobody really seems like a good person. They all have questionable morals. They all do really heinous things to each other. And yet they always manage to come back together. And you're right. Is it that they do forgive each other or they're just lured in by the paycheck? And so they're willing to put up with a lot of shit because they're getting the money for it.
Well, I think some of them have actual relationships outside of the show and then other ones don't. Like, I don't think Lala and Ariana are very close friends in real life.
Yeah, they've had some moments on the show that are like, ooh.
And Tom Sandoval actually called that out. I think on the reunion when Lala was like backing up Ariana for something, Tom Sandoval makes a point of like, you're not even her friend. Like, and I think
Tom, what a stupid point to make.
But that's an interesting point when Lala makes that comment on the preview. Like, I do think there's this duality where it's like, Lala's like a girl's girl on the show, but I don't think she has like genuine friendships with everybody.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm surprised that some of them are friends. Like, I just don't know how that all works out. I don't think I could be friends with people that even for a show.
Like Katie and Ariana are making the sandwich shop together, so they have to have a relationship outside the show. The Toms, I think, are always going to be attached at the hip, no matter what. They survive together. I guess I would have said Sheena and Raquel, but obviously that dynamic has changed, and Raquel's no longer on the show. Rachel, I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think that James and Lala have a genuine friendship, but I don't know if they're like spending time with each other outside of the show.
Yeah. Allie, his current girlfriend, made a post that James was sober. So on that note, I really hope we see a sober James through season 11. Though when he was sober through season 9, that good for him for being sober, but my God, somebody else who needs to go to therapy and work through some of their shit. Like James, stop drinking, go to therapy.
Didn't James go to therapy last season? It was like his start of therapy. I'm pretty sure that happened. I don't know. We'll see. We don't know what's happening. But so Tom Sandoval was sober for 8 months. Did you see the article I sent you?
Yes, I did see that.
And so he is going to be sober through filming, but he recently started drinking because he thinks he's in a better space and he's worked through what he needs to work through.
I don't have the scope to really get into alcoholism, but I am always so curious, like, especially with this show in particular, it seems to me like they all drink too much. And I really respect Lala's decision to just be like, no more. Like, this is not serving me. And she still shows up and gives us incredible TV. But I also wonder, like, if you do have to drink so heavily to get through a reality TV show, even if drinking isn't your problem, maybe you should stop drinking or reconsider your space on the show. And it'll be really telling to see how Tom does sober through this. And I hope that, that time sober was good for him. I hope if he takes up drinking again, that's also good for him. But I don't know. It always scares me. I feel like they drink a lot and they do probably too many drugs.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that's a consistent thing in a lot of Bravo shows. One of my other favorite shows, Southern Charm, one of the main cast members recently came out saying, like, kind of approaching his drinking problem because he was blackout drunk through all of BravoCon. So yeah, I think that's kind of a double-edged sword because watching fucked up people on television brings more drama, but also you understand how it's probably negatively impacting all of these lives. So, whereas like Lala is kind of an exception to the rule where it's like, I have to remind myself that she's sober.
Well, yeah, I completely forgot.
She brings the drama regardless.
That line. Yeah, she's just, she's dramatic.
Yeah, I was mostly bringing up the Tom thing because I wanted to remind people he is sober this season, but if he decides to drink, which is like totally his choice, and I'm not here to say whether it's the right choice or the wrong choice, but he will be drinking, I think, this next season, if there's a season 12.
Yeah. There were rumblings that Vanderpump wasn't going to get renewed after season 10, but then everything that happened, like, how could they not? So I'm cautiously optimistic that we will get a season 12, but I will just be happy for season 11 for now.
And if not, we have Jax's bullshit.
Yay.
I'm rewatching Vanderpump now, and I have to tell you that I kind of forgot all of the Jax of it all. And how terrible he was. And the fact that he's getting like his own little spinoff show, I mean, it makes a lot of sense because him and Brittany are great television, but also it's like, what the fuck? And Kristen Doty. We can't forget Kristen.
Oh God, Kristen. Yeah, Kristen, man. Have you gotten to the episode where Jax is like apologetically coming to Brittany for cheating?
No, we're not there yet.
I just have to say this. He's wearing a button-up shirt and he's got this gray sweater over it. But then as he turns around and walks out the door, the back of the sweater is actually a Taco Bell sweatshirt, but he thought he would wear it backwards with his button-up shirt so that it looked a little better. And it reminded me that Jax also wanted to start his own sweater clothing line.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh. That guy.
Which he has opened a sports bar. So I'm interested to see if that will be a part of the Valley show.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Well, is there anything else about season 11 for you?
No, we're ready.
We're ready.
We're ready.
Sweet.
Okay, Bachelor.
Let's talk about The Bachelor.
Okay.
Wow. I will say, first off, it took me like 2.5 hours to watch this, and I've got Hulu ad free. So
I don't. So it took me a long time.
Long time. But I feel like that's a testament to the show because like I didn't want to miss it. So I kept pausing anytime I needed to like do something. And I don't always feel like that about the first episode.
The first episode is usually kind of a slog to get through.
Yeah, you're like, too many people. There's nothing going on. I'm not going to remember everyone.
Why were there more women? Why was there 32 women?
God, that was so many women. And like to the detriment of like, they just like rapid fire in segments got out of the limo so fast. Like I could barely write anything about them because it was like Chiron, their name, next person. What? Did you like? Yeah, just don't have that many people.
I think it should be 20.
Yeah, and then knock it down to 15 first night.
Yes,
I think that's the money for sure. But it did not happen. 32 women.
It's hard for viewers to be invested in any of these women when it's like, wait, who is she? Why do we care about her? Why'd she get a date?
Well, yeah, because didn't we just like blow through Evelyn's entrance, and then that poor woman spent like most of the time crying because she didn't get a chance. I felt for her, but I would have liked to see her entrance and like get to know her more. And she ended up staying.
Yeah,
so,
her
like,
dress and her earrings.
Those earrings. I'm obsessed. But
any entrances that stood out to you?
There were a few. Okay. I think the first one that I really just want to get off my chest is Zoe rolling in with those fucking bananas.
Oh, God.
Like, we need to drop the trope of asking men what their penis size is because it doesn't matter. And I felt really sad for Joey to have to be on national television and to have to pick up a banana that represented his genitalia. Like, if a man had shown up with chicken giblets and was like, what am I working with down there? Like, that would have never made television. The outrage would have been extreme. We don't need to talk about it. We don't need to shame anybody.
But also he's like, let's say Joey is smaller. He's not going to pick up the stubby banana. It's just putting someone in a position of like shame, right?
Exactly. Like that's just not okay. Like,
was he going to pick up the biggest banana?
I would have just picked up a banana and eaten it. Just out of like sheer anxiety.
I think I would have just like slammed the tray out of her hands and been like, oops.
Fuck you. No. That was wild to me. Kyra. What did she say specifically? Do you want to see something crazy? And then she just screams. And it took me like...
And his face was like, oh my God.
I had the same face. And it was funny after about like 4 minutes of sitting with it, but I doubt that landed for Joey.
Yeah. Also, there has to be so many nerves. And I think someone is like, hey, do you want to like yell with me? Like, do you want to have a moment where we just like release together?
Get it all out.
Because I know that's happened before. Or like shake out the nerves. But when she just like yells at him and he's probably already like completely overwhelmed.
That would send me if somebody did that to me. I'd probably punch them just like not just even intentionally. Like just like, no.
I don't need this right now.
No. Yeah.
Even though Lauren to me was like, the older sister of the two sisters, I think she's a lot. But I did like her shotgun entrance.
Oh, hell yeah.
And she crushed him.
She did that in like 2 gulps.
Yeah, I was like, did she actually finish? I wanted to like, no, was the can empty?
Yeah, I want to try that now. I remember my dad teaching me to do that with lemonade.
Oh, damn.
I know. So, yeah, I started young. I do not shotgun bear, though, but that made me laugh. Yeah, that was fun. I'm with you, though. But that was fun.
And then, Autumn's cringy entrance where she was like, someone's favorite season tells me a lot about them.
Yeah, that didn't land at all. And the throwing of the leaves.
I was like, I thought they were rose petals. And then I realized her name was Autumn. And I was like, oh, okay. Fall leaves. Got it.
Joey didn't know.
Yeah, it just went flat. And then she's like, wow, I'm really disappointed, but maybe I can change your mind or something like that.
He was like spring. Definitely
spring and summer.
Golden. Leave it to a guy to not.
Yeah, he didn't even pay attention to the leaves.
How could he? Nobody can like really pay that much attention. He's in shock, man. Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, some of them definitely had better. I thought the Caitlyn with the chemistry was pretty cute. I loved that.
Yeah.
What a way to lean into your career, do something interesting, engaging. Like, that was very cute. And also, lol, chemistry.
Yeah.
They have it.
Well, like, he learned something about her with the interaction. It was memorable. She was cute.
Her dress was beautiful. I loved that style.
I will say when she let him put the goggles on, I was like, oh, because you know, when you have your makeup perfectly done and your hair perfectly done, I don't know. I was like, there's a lot of trust right there. I think I would have come out of the limo with my goggles on.
Yeah. He did not do a good job. I just have to say it. You guys, wear your hair up. I hate it. You've got all these beautiful dresses. You've got all like, do something with your hair.
Everyone wears their hair down.
I know. It drives me batty. I don't know why, but it does. And I want them, even if it's like kind of slicked back and down. But like beach waves and those gowns do not go together.
No.
So anyway, that's my rant. It doesn't matter. But
I agree.
Oh, Samantha throwing the dough.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I would have caught that. I would have been like, ugh. Thing flying through the air. Yeah, like props to Joey. That's probably the athlete in him that's like, catch what's tossed at you, you know, good reflexes.
My instinctual reaction is to not catch it. Because I'm terrified that if I try to catch it and I miss, I'll feel more embarrassed than if I just am like, I'm not going to try.
I have made an executive decision not to catch things that people throw at me because Saul made the observation that if you just toss something at somebody, they'll instinctually catch it. And so just out of pure spite, I refuse. Just somebody throws something, guess what? My hands are going down by my side. Not catching that.
I think I have a little bit of, not trauma, because I'm not trying to take it to that level, but like my parents really wanted me to be good at sports. And they made me play softball and basketball and soccer. And I was just never good. My dad would tell me I threw like a girl. I shot basketballs like a girl. And I think that I just have it in my head that I'm not very coordinated from those experiences, which I really don't think I'm that coordinated. So I think that there's like a block there where I'm like, I don't want to catch it because I'll probably miss it. And then I'm like revisiting all of those moments of disappointing my parents.
You're choosing your own destiny.
Yeah, I don't want to feel that.
That tracks. I appreciate that. Anybody else for you?
I mean, Jess's, is that the boat girl?
Oh, Jess.
She didn't say anything about why she came in on a boat, right? It was just because of that pun.
The relationship, which is a stupid.
Which she's not on a ship. She's on a boat.
Yeah, that's a boat.
So I thought that was a little
yeah, that fell flat.
dumb.
I also feel like I have to change my name now. I can't be Jess. We pegged her as no personality, and you know what? We weren't wrong.
I saw a meme that she's Hannah Brown's evil twin, Hannah Beige, and I was like, I died because she does look a lot like Hannah Brown.
Oh, absolutely.
And she kind of has some, you know, she has a southern accent. She's got the spunkiness. So there's some parallels there. I thought
Hannah
it was pretty
Beige.
funny.
There we go. That is really funny.
Okay, what was your overall impression of just like how the first episode went?
I loved it. I think all of the women are just bringing it.
The most diverse list of women we've had so far.
Absolutely. And I think that for better or worse, the sisters, Jess, who else?
Maria.
Like Maria
She's a lot.
is dramatic.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I did not like her dress.
I didn't either. And I was like, you're so pretty. And it's not that the dress isn't pretty, but I just think like
she needed to wear her hair up and it would have worked better.
I think you're right.
There's too much dress. That's why you wear your hair up for that. The dress
also
is the
like
thing.
show your collarbone, your shoulders. Like it elongates your neck to have your hair up.
Yeah, just not limp hair in your face. I just yeah, Maria was a lot. I really thought the way that Jess talked to Joey versus the way that Daisy talked to Joey was such an interesting dynamic. I think it's really telling of who people are on this show. Maybe not like as people outside of the show, I don't know. But
Expand on that a little.
I think that Jess really sees Joey as this attractive conquest for herself and is making it competitive, is going at it to build some self-worth, to like all the wrong reasons. Although she's also not there to make friends. Whereas I thought Daisy's approach to sit down and just be like, I'm so excited for you. Like, this is such a cool process. I think that the outcome is going to be good for you. And just to have somebody be genuinely excited for Joey was really cool to see.
Yeah.
I thought that was really lovely. And just the dichotomy of those two individuals being on this season was really striking for me. Like, Jess.
I know. And
she's trouble.
I love that she was wearing a jumpsuit, but I really struggled with her. I was like, why are you the one person that's like wearing pants? And I'm so annoyed with you as a person.
I know, and I'm going to sound like a fucking broken record, but it blows my mind every season that they're like, the sun is coming up. And
oh my gosh, it looked like noon this time.
Dude, no kidding. It was
wasn't
like
morning. It was
raw daylight.
It was
when
afternoon.
They were doing those interviews for exit interviews. But like, I just think about anytime I go out and I put on something even like half as nice as what they're wearing, it's so uncomfortable. Like, just heels aren't comfortable, fitted dresses aren't comfortable, that much makeup isn't comfortable, and they are in those for hours.
Mm-hmm.
The jumpsuit makes so much sense to me because that was probably the most comfortable thing because it's got like more attachment to your body than just like your body pressing out, holding it on.
That's true.
So yeah,
the sequins, sometimes those can be not comfy.
Absolutely. There were a lot of sequins this season.
Is it Evelyn that was crying a lot? Yeah. I was just thinking about how these women have probably been in these dresses since like mid-afternoon. They had their hair and makeup done. They probably haven't eaten a lot because you never want to feel like bloated in a gown. And they're just in this pressure cooker all night where they're looking for the validation of one person against 31 other super attractive women. So it's like stand out, be noticed. And then it's like, am I going to get a kiss? Am I not going to get a kiss? Am I going to talk to him? Am I not going to talk to him? And then you stay up all night to end with this rose ceremony where in that moment, it almost seems like, it's like, am I worthy of like being noticed? Because he doesn't really know you at this point.
Yeah, and you're so tired. I mean, you care, but probably not as much as maybe you feel like you care in that moment.
I think
would
it's
be crying
more so
too.
About like I worked so hard to look so pretty in my dress, and I worked hard to not get too drunk, and I worked hard to like be noticeable, and I just need a rose, damn it.
Yes. Yes.
It's not really about Joey in that moment to me. I think it's more about being chosen.
I think so too. Absolutely it is. What did you think overall? I realized we just like went on a long-winded tangent.
Okay, so I'm really interested to see how the season progresses. I think that Joey came off a little overwhelmed and a little bit quiet and reserved. So I'm hoping he adds in a little bit more personality and fun once the season gets going. But I will say that something I really appreciated was there were several moments where Joey was like, oh, you were from this place, or you were the radio chemist, or you. And he did a really good job of like making women feel seen when he remembered things about them.
Yeah.
And I felt like that brought a lot of like natural intention into those conversations where he was able to make maybe women feel more seen and relaxed and like, I don't know. So I think he also kissed a lot of women. So it's like this balance of like, he seemed really calm and he was almost underwhelming in that way. But then he's like kissing all the ladies. So that was also an interesting balance to me.
Kissing everybody but Lauren.
Well, which was fine.
That made me laugh.
Yeah, the sister of it all is a little cringe. I don't know how this is going to go. So he kisses the younger sister. And so the older sister is immediately pissed because she feels like she lost that sister competition. And then the younger sister gets the first rose, and then the older sister gets the last rose. So it's very telling that they're going to use the sister drama as long as they can, and that the older sister Rose was totally a producer Rose.
Yeah, absolutely. When you said that, I was like, oh, yep, that is it. He had no chemistry with her. Zero.
Well, and she walked up scolding him, like, I can't believe you waited to give me the last rose after you gave my sister the first rose. And it's like,
I don't know. Maybe there are guys that are into that, but Joey,
he's not like that.
No, I'm sure he is just, I don't know. That struck me too. It was just not a good move. Any other moments for you before we get to our top 4?
I will admit, when he first started talking to Maria, I was like, oh, this doesn't make sense to me at all. And it isn't because I don't like her and I don't like him. I was just like, I don't really see their personalities meshing.
She gave him mad shit for Remember the Titans.
Yeah. And I kind of felt for him in that moment. Like, don't shame people for their favorite things.
Yeah, we have a saying, do not yuck someone's yum.
Yeah. Especially after she was like, I love horror. And how many times do people be like, I hate horror movies? Me.
Yeah, so and as someone who does love them, that is the response. So, like, yeah, be nice.
Watching that interaction to me, I was just like, where is this going? And then I think he kissed her, and I was like,
yeah, they had a little bit. I think what Lauren was trying to do was sort of that adversarial sexual tension Maria actually nailed. Of like, we don't quite see eye to eye, but we're both really hot and into each other, and like kind of building that tension. I think Maria was successful with that in ways that Lauren just absolutely was not.
That's a good take. Oh, we need to talk about the Leia card.
That made me want to throw my margarita across the room. Fuck this show, man, for constantly trying to pit women against each other. And bless Leia. Like, first off, I'll be fully honest. I hear she's 23, and I'm like, of course they give it to the youngest person because, like, way to just like hope that she makes a bad decision. This woman, my God, like, I loved her for this. Like, not only was she like, this does not work well for my relationship with the women in this house, but this also takes away from Joey's journey, and you know, he loses his choice in these things, and that's not what I want. I don't want to win on a technicality or like get further based on false pretenses.
Yeah. On the one hand, I appreciate the show doing something different. I feel like anytime the Bachelor franchise like mixes something up, I'm like, yay, a new thing that we haven't done before, because the show is so formulaic that it gets a little bit boring. And so I did think that the card was a twist. I didn't really love the twist, but it was a twist nonetheless. And poor Leia, she's obviously a very empathetic, anxious person because it made her have a come apart. Like, she felt the weight of that, and she was internalizing that, and she was like, what do I do with this? And I do think I think she made it a little bigger deal than she needed to, but in the end, I'm really happy she burned it. It was a stupid twist. Had Jess gotten that card, that would have been a whole other story. You know what I mean? Like, that's what makes the card interesting.
Well, Taylor was ready to go in the fire after it.
Yeah,
so.
It's like whoever, like, if someone more competitive or less empathetic got that card, which is like, hell yeah, I can't wait to fuck shit up. Like, that would be interesting too.
That's a very good point. I think the fact that they just did not read Leia well enough to recognize like she was not going to do what they wanted her to do with that card. And in fact, it was really like, yeah, it produced a really anxious response from her. That was hard to watch. That made me sad for her. That sucks. So in that sense, it's like, you're right. It could have been really fun, but typical producers didn't do their job and research this better to get a sense of like, I don't know, ask some leading questions, see what people would do with a situation like that. Like, Leia probably would have told you exactly what she did, which is, I'm not going to do something like that. Jess would have been like, yeah.
Or what if it was like, Leia gets to have a one-on-one dinner with Joey after a group date? You know, what if it was like an add-on where it's not necessarily taking away from other women, but she gets to benefit from something? I don't know.
Totally. Yeah. God damn it. They do something different and they do it all wrong.
I know.
But it's in the fire, so it is done.
So we did start the episode with a preview of what the ending is.
Yeah, that was bananas to me. I was like, this is so dramatic. So does he tell someone no and then change his mind when he's standing there waiting for the girl he was like wanting to say yes to?
I have no idea. Or does someone like not show up?
Oh, yeah.
No, because they do show the white car driving away. I'm so confused. Do they not say yes?
Yeah. Well, that's the whole hook, right? Now we're in it for the whole season. We're gonna have to watch all however many episodes.
Okay, we're in it to win it, guys.
Yeah, I'm curious too. Hook, line, sinker. I'm in it.
Should we pick our top 4?
Okay. Should we flip for who goes first?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be tails.
Okay. I'm gonna try and flip this coin correctly.
So Jess and I pick a team of 4. We can't pick the same girl. Jess gets to go first.
Oh.
And we're just kind of like throwing out who we think will be in the final 4 and see who does the best job getting there.
Okay. I've been waiting to talk about my girl Daisy. She rolls up in like
Christmas tree car.
I don't even like Christmas, but I do like Christmas. I love the baking of my cookies.
I
like
Christmas.
I do, but not for like the reasons of like not the commercial reasons.
Like the tradition, the spirit of it.
Absolutely. Like I am a big fan of all of that. That makes my heart really happy. So her growing up on a Christmas tree farm, she rolls up in this cute little red truck with a Christmas tree in the back.
It was very cute.
She gets out in that gorgeous pink dress. I just like could not. And then she tells her story of losing her hearing, getting the cochlear implant. And then she has that conversation with Joey. But like before any of that, just the truck and her getting out and the way that he received her, I was like, she wins.
You think she wins?
I do. That's it. That's who's my money's on. I don't know. Maybe that's because that's who I would pick, but
okay, so you're picking Daisy.
Daisy is my first choice in a very long-winded way. I'm sorry. You can pick the next 2 since I got to go first.
No. We'll do it one after the other. Okay. Well, Daisy was on my list, but here we go.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to pick Lexi. And I didn't even really like Lexi that much, but I think that he's really into Lexi.
Lexi was on my list too. I'm glad you reminded me that I needed to pick additional people for when this inevitably happened. I am gonna go. Man,
Lexi made a comment where she's like, "I'm really down to earth," and I think when people verbalize that they're down to earth, it's a sign that they're not really down to earth.
That's so funny. Yeah. I guess.
Sorry, I just had to point that out.
No, that's a good observation. I like it. Okay, I'm gonna go then with Kelsey A.
Fuck.
I knew this was gonna be the case. I was watching this. I was like, there's no way that you and I don't have the exact same list. The voodoo doll.
God damn it.
Joey was like really into it.
Yeah.
I don't mean it, but like just not, he's into her, but also I think just her aesthetic. He commented on how gorgeous she looked. He thought the doll was really funny. Joey was a fan. So Kelsey A.
For some reason, I couldn't stop staring at her teeth. She had good teeth, but I was like, I couldn't stop looking at her mouth.
She had a good head of hair too.
Yeah.
That actually looked like her hair.
Like very wavy.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, man.
Fine. You know who I'm going to pick? I'm going to pick Jen.
We have the same list.
That's good. That means that we're both probably right.
Yep. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to decide now because I feel like it's really down to the wire and I've got to choose well here. Okay. It's a dark horse, but Maria.
Okay, she's on my list, but I think she self-eliminates.
That you're right. You damn it.
But we'll see because I think she goes far.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think she wins it, but there was mad chemistry between them. So
but I also don't know when she would self-eliminate. So she could still be top 4 and go home.
That's right. I forgot you had I even as I was like thinking that through, I remember you saying the Canadian self-eliminates and that she was one of your special mentions, but sometimes my brain does not connect the two things. So
She was on my list, though. I think she is like a good pick. I don't know when she does that, or if she does. You know, sometimes they tease things and it doesn't end up happening.
Right. It's not the person we think at all.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna pick. I still have 2 more picks.
I know.
I guess I'm gonna pick Caitlin, the radio chemist.
Oh, that's a really good one. That is also.
They show her a few times in the preview.
Yeah.
Which, you know, sometimes that means something, sometimes that means nothing, but.
Okay. I'm just going to be real. This last one, I'm pulling out of nowhere because you took everybody.
Give it to me.
I'm trying. Shit.
You're fine.
Man, Saul can like edit this like dramatic pause down in the middle, but okay. I'm gonna go Rachel.
Damn it, Jess.
Did I
I thought I for sure would be able to pick her. Okay.
The lay was really sweet, and I'm pretty sure I saw her in like a tropical setting somewhere.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Let's see. Honestly, my whole list is gone now, so I really just have to pick somebody.
That's what I just did.
Because I think I had 7 people, and now we've picked all of them.
Oh, yep, there it is.
All right, my final pick is Kelsey T. Even though I think that they show her when he's talking about Kelsey in the trailer to mess with you because he's actually talking about Kelsey A.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But I do think when he first saw Kelsey T, I was like, oh, he's into her.
Yeah, he was. He was kind of like a little bit of a jaw on the ground.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised they didn't show, and this is another reason I hesitate to pick her, because they didn't really show him talking to her or having any interaction after the fact. Do you remember?
I thought I saw her in the preview kissing him with like fireworks.
Well, I meant like after the limo entrances.
Oh, no.
So that's like, I don't know. You kind of want to pay attention to who has the most airtime in the first. Oh, I'm like second guessing. Should I pick Leah? No, I'm sticking to it. Kelsey T, I guess.
Well, I just want to give a little bit of like, I don't remember where I got this information from, but I probably fucking Nick Vial, but saying that his advice to people is choose who you like the first night and then kind of ignore them. Like, don't make it super obvious. So I'm always like aware of that. I don't know who listens to Nick Vial. I don't know who like, but like that kind of tracks for me. So I don't know. I mean, that sticks around in my head when they don't talk to people first night.
That's all right.
Not like,
I mean, I hope she makes it far, but that was kind of a throwaway guess.
I'm sorry. That
That's
was
okay.
rough. I knew when I was watching this, I'm like, it's pretty evident who's going to be going far and who is not, unless they're really trying to hide something from us.
I would pick Leia, but I feel like I'm not meaning this to sound mean, but I feel like she kind of only got the airtime she did because of the card.
Yeah. And the first impression rose similarly. It felt like Joey.
Like he appreciated the way she handled it.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel as much of like a romantic connection between them.
That's totally fair.
So I'm torn because on the one hand, I'm like Leia, but I also didn't see her in the trailer very much, and I didn't really feel chemistry between the two of them. So I don't know, shot in the dark. Kelsey, take me home.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to cover?
Let's do our candy review.
Yes. Today, we are reviewing
Haribo watermelons. Is that how you say it?
Haribo. I'm glad you said it first. I was like dramatically pausing, hoping that you would jump in, and you did. So thank you. Haribo. Yeah, that sounds right. I really like it. They taste like watermelon. They've got that kind of, they're not quite as soft as the clouds, but they're close.
They have like a strip of cloud.
Yeah. And they're delicious. I'm also going to eat that whole bag later today.
I also like how big the pieces are. I don't know. I kind of love and hate that because I love how big that gummy texture is in your mouth when they're chunky. But then I feel like I shouldn't eat as many of them because they're huge.
And there's a decent amount in the bag.
Yeah. So it's like,
Well, it's the best of both worlds for me. Big candy and a lot. that is how I prefer to eat my candy, in large quantities.
Yeah, I liked them.
Yeah, me too. So that's a winner. And look at us, remember. We had one for last week too, and we forgot it
Oh, yeah.
because that's how we roll.
We'll save that one for another episode.
We will. Thanks for hanging out with us.
You guys were so excited to talk about these shows.
So excited. We're trying to make a little bit of a push for listeners. So if you have people in your life who like reality TV, we'd really appreciate you throwing us a bone and just sharing our Instagram page or the name of our podcast with your friends who do watch reality TV.
Yeah, spread the word.
Yeah.
Talk about the tea.
We're having a lot of fun doing it. We'd like to have more listeners.
Any help would be appreciated. And we super appreciate anyone who has stayed with us this far.
Yeah, our core 20. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. And honestly, if we never get any more than that, we're going to keep doing it. You are worth it. So it's not to say that you're not enough. You are. So
thanks guys.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Drama Bonded is produced and hosted by Mandy Booth and Jessica Brumbaugh. Our production manager and editor is Solomon Brumbaugh. Our theme music is by Joe Waters. You can find more of his music streaming on the EP Jupiter Daywatch. Music vocals by Mandy Booth. Graphic designer is Pigeon House. Thank you.